Hey up everyone, Magpie Gaming here. I hope you're all doing well, and as this thumbnail suggests, I have indeed booked days off work to play Starfield upon its release. Now, I know some people will think that I'm absolutely crazy for doing that, but I don't really care. I'm really looking forward to Starfield. I remember when they showed a little teaser, I think it was a year or 2 years ago now, and they just introduced the game. This is Starfield, you're going to be able to go in space, and you just got like a little sort of cinematic of somebody in a spaceship, I think, if that's correct, and that was it. You didn't really know much else about it, but you knew it was from Bethesda, so you was sort of, everybody was saying, oh, it's going to be Fallout in space. So I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Fallout series. I've only played a couple of the games and I get bored really quickly. They just don't really resonate with me, but something about space and Fallout in space does. So I've been waiting with bated breath for some more information about Starfield, and they gave a presentation about a week or 2 weeks ago where they did like a 45-minute show. They gave us lots of gameplay, lots of information on it. We got a really good look at what the game actually looks like, and it just looks gorgeous. It looks stunning, and there's quite a few things within it that I really like the look of. But one of the things that I noticed was I'm watching it and I'm thinking No Man's Sky, and then I'm watching other bits and I'm thinking Star Citizen. So it's as if Star Citizen and No Man's Sky got together and said, you know what, let's create the perfect baby, and it looks like Starfield might be it. Now I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that say, well, hold on, you've got to be a little bit, be a bit more cautious, because this is Bethesda that just recently gave us Redfall, which didn't really do well. Well, it didn't do well at all. That game was slated across the board by pretty much everybody. It was a big release that just didn't hit the points that it was meant to hit, and I think it's probably dead in the water now. So there'll be still some people that are playing it, obviously, some people that want to check it out, some people that might actually enjoy it, but it wasn't a game that I was interested in getting. It wasn't a game that I liked the look of once we actually saw gameplay of it. It just looks very sort of mediocre. So I think one of the reasons that maybe Bethesda did this whole presentation was they were probably planning to show us something about the game anyway, but they probably put a bit more effort into this because of Redfall and the fact that a lot of people out there, a lot of publications are saying that it's a make or break title for Bethesda and Microsoft. Obviously Bethesda's owned by ZeniMax and ZeniMax is owned by Microsoft, so Microsoft sort of owns the whole thing. So it's a big deal for them. It's an Xbox exclusive, so they want it to go well upon its release. But I really don't care about that. I think that the huge sort of spotlight that's been put on Microsoft and Bethesda with the issues that they've had with Redfall will mean that they will pull it out of the bag with Starfield. I'm going to be confident about it and say, it's going to be a good game. Now I know people will say, well, if you're going to play it early doors, you're going to run into issues and things like that, and I'm kind of used to that. As being a PC gamer, there's been a lot of flops recently. There's been also a lot of good games but have released in a bad state to begin with. Now I have taken the 1st of September off so that I'm going to play it in the early access, so a lot of people are going to sit there and go, well, you can test it and get rid of all the bugs before we get the general release, which is like a week later. And you know what, that's fine. I'm happy with that. I think the game will launch in a good state. I'm not going to say that it'll launch in a perfect state, especially not on the PC. That kind of tends not to happen these days. Although I'm given some hope with the recent release of Diablo 4 that released, and you could just play it. There was no issues. I've been playing the hell out of that game, and it's flawless. You go into world events, you go into the Gathering Legions events and just the random events around the map, and it's seamless transition into playing with other players. It just really works. I think in all the time I've played, I've noticed maybe a couple of stutters here and there when you move between zones in the game, but I'm being very, very finicky when I say that, and it's literally one of those maybe every 8 to 10 hours, and just one little 3 to 4 second stutter. I can live with that. That is fine. The rest of the game performs really well, so I'm given hope that Starfield will release well as well. Now I know that there are different companies that are making them, but I think the spotlight is definitely on PC gaming at the moment, and the issues that it's had in the industry, obviously there's a lot of pressure on the developers, which is and isn't fair. It's kind of fair when you're paying a lot of money for these games and you want them just to work out of the bag, but at the same time there are so many different permutations of PC systems out there that it's hard to get compatibility across the board board. It kind of has to be put out there, and then when people report the issues, they can then fix them and patch them and whatever else. But I've got confidence that Starfield will be a good release, so I've took the Friday the 1st off. I've also took Monday the 4th of September off, so I can have a long weekend playing this game. And I like some of the elements in it. Like I say, it seems a mashup between Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. Instantly when you watch the video, there's a little bit where you're mining some resources from a rock, and it is just No Man's Sky. I think the guys at No Man's Sky might be looking at this and thinking, do you know what? You've just ripped off our idea completely. Whether or not they want to do a legal challenge, I'm not really too sure about that. They are a huge company, Bethesda, but I guess it's just one of those things where if you want to mine resources in a game, there's only so many ways that you can actually do it in sort of animations, so it is all going to kind of look samey to a point. But I like the kind of interactions that you can have in the game. There's lots of NPCs to talk to, lots of places to go. It's going to have over 1,000 planets to visit. Now with No Man's Sky, all the planets are procedurally generated. No one's universe in that is the same as the next person who's playing it. It's going to be a little bit different with Starfield. All of the planets will be the same, and some of the assets on the planet will be the same as well. So sort of villages and outposts and cities will be the same, but they might be in different locations. The rest of the planet will be procedurally generated, so the terrain will look different from one player's game to the next. It's just going to be the cities and the outposts that are going to look the same. But with over 1,000 planets, it's going to take a long time to get through them. Another thing that people have talked about that they've said is disappointed is when you come to a planet, you're not actively going to be able to fly down to the surface yourself. It's going to go to a cutscene that will take you down to the surface, and I think it's going to be sort of like an appointed sort of landing point that you go to. So not like what you get with Star Citizen where you can fly down into the planet and land wherever you want. I think Bethesda cut that bit out. I think it was maybe just a technological step too far for them to incorporate in the game. Not saying that they couldn't do it, but I think they just thought that it was maybe unnecessary. But it could be something that's patched into the game later on. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously a lot of people would like that ability just to fly in where they like rather than the game doing it for them. But for me personally, I'm not too bothered about that. That's something from Star Citizen that I'm willing to give up if Starfield actually works really well, which Star Citizen just doesn't. And I'll be honest, I do play Star Citizen from time to time. I started playing a couple of months ago and I enjoyed it to a point, but I found it just so janky. After all these years, that game is just still so janky, but I do have to give the developers of that game credit. The attention to detail in some of that game is amazing, especially the starships. They are also individual. The animations that you have for entering them and just how they look is amazing, and I think the same kind of detail has gone into Starfield as well. So talking about the starships, you're able to customize them at will. They've got sort of this sort of top-down look where you can just bolt on different modules to your ship and you can make it look however you want. As long as you can afford the parts, you can fix them to your ship. It doesn't really matter. They showed a video where one of them made one that looks a little bit like Optimus Prime, so you can just let your imagination run wild with that. So I really like that part of it. There's also going to be base building, and the building of the bases looks fairly similar to doing the starships where it's all modular and you just pick the different parts and bolt them together, and then obviously you've got a base of operation to go to when you go back to that particular planet. Combat looks really good. Obviously you'll be able to choose what kind of side you want to go on. Do you want to be a good person in space? Do you want to be a bit of a bad person like a space pirate? You can do that as well, and obviously there's going to be a whole campaign to go through with this as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't care if I waste my days off with a broken game. I'm sure I will get some enjoyment out of it somewhere. Now I do know that to be able to access on the 1st of September, you have to own, I think it's the premium edition or digital deluxe edition or whatever. I think it's around $100, so it's going to be around £100 here in the UK. But apparently if you are on Game Pass, you can just pay to upgrade to the deluxe edition, which is around £35, and you'll get access on the 1st of September. So it seems like a good deal. You're saving yourself some money. Obviously if you stop using Game Pass and stop subscribing to it, you will lose access to the game altogether, but I'm willing to just risk that money and give it a go. I think it just looks like such a good game, and I've been waiting for a big release for a long time. I remember when I was a kid, a long time ago, back in the mid-90s, when new games used to come out, and the early 2000s you had all those people obviously that went to game stores and sort of queued at midnight to get the game and then went home and played it for the rest of the night. I used to just buy mine online and get it delivered, but I used to be excited when that disc had come through the post the next day, and especially when it was just a big release. I think digital delivery delivery has taken away that kind of aspect of it. But Starfield just reminds me of one of these big releases that I'm looking forward to. So yes, I am taking a risk on getting it for early access. I'm maybe taking a risk using some of my holidays, which I don't get many of at work, to play this game, but I'm willing to risk it. It's something that I'm going to do. So I will put a link in the description down below to the full showcase if you want to go watch that. Warning, it is 45 minutes long, but they do show some great stuff from the game. They interview a lot of people that are involved in it, and they give you a lot of background and information on the game, and it's just, by watching the full 45 minutes, it's made me definitely want to get this game and play it even more. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about Starfield. Is it a game you're interested in? Is it a game you're not interested in? Let me know. And as always, thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.